So we're going to start this off by Nicola informing me of something. We've literally just done our weekly laundry and Nicola informed me that she just found something. So I'm thinking cake or something, but no. What did you find, Nicola?
I've just found my woolly hat and gloves.
My head is melting and she found her woolly hat and gloves.
I think I've packed a bit wrong.
Well, good morning guys. Wednesday morning. We last were with you, I think, just leaving Baguio, and we went back to Zamudio and just stayed a little there. Then Nicola, you actually had
I had a whole day's work yesterday.
So we're now finally starting to drive west. We're about 15k outside of Bilbao in a place called Castro Urdalius. We're moving on to another little beach and hopefully park up place later. I just saw this place had quite a nice harbour and an bit of an old town, so thought we'd stop off here, find a little park up on Park for Night. Not say I'd stay there overnight, but it's good, as it says on the app, to visit the old part of the city.
I'm not doing so good today. I, as you probably know, I suffer quite badly with anxiety and having a bit of a down day today, but be all right. Just taking a while to get motivated.
And the last thing she needs is me pointing a camera in her face. But I reckon coffee will help. What do you say, guys?
But as everyone says, it's good to be real on these things and say it's not all
Absolutely.
hunky-dory.
Oh, trust me, I won't start the vlog by saying this here, and I might even bring a whole separate little mini vlog to talk about some of my... It's normally Nicola who gets into escapades, but my lord, I have had some serious escapades over the last couple of days, but...
And most of them, in fact all of them, pretty much to do with, nearly all to do with toilets.
I was really trying not to mention the word toilet 2 minutes into our vlog, but hey, right, well, we'll dander on, go into Castro Urdalius, try to cheer this one up just a touch, get me a coffee, and hopefully no more escapades for a while. I'm done with escapades.
But it does, on another note, on a happier note, it does look like this bay would be really good for snorkelling. In fact, I can see a couple of people out there at the moment.
We have our snorkel kit?
We do. We just need to get ourselves sorted, really. We're still easing in, and it's not even been a week, so.
Right, mosey on. So, it doesn't take a lot to send Nicola into a meltdown. We're at Santa Ana
Tower,
and Santa Ana, so the Cathedral of the Ascensions over there. But on one of the signs we saw them talking about some builder back in AD 617 had obviously scrolled his initials MC 617. So I heard Nicola
trying to say "Donde está los números 617?" And the woman just starts going, "What, the street, the house number?" And I think I'm maybe I'm actually menopausal at the moment, so it doesn't take much to change my mood. And I just thought, what has been the point in nearly, no, I'm getting emotional now, a year of learning Spanish?
We'll put you away for a minute. I'll finish this little bit off. Oh no, I think she's okay, is she? The thing about it is, as you heard there, she said the Spanish perfectly. The lady didn't know where the 617 was, so...
I think the problem is, sorry about this, I think the problem is we've been trying to speak since we got here.
I just keep learning how to say manzanas really well.
And nobody seems to understand anything I say.
I asked the guy, can we, necesito una billete? And he was like, what do you want? I'm not sure. It's like, oh, fucking hell. It actually looks as though there's another Park for Night just along we saw a couple of motorhomes parked up as well, so you could actually park up, by the looks of things, right along the seafront as well. But very murky and grey today, but it's really hot and humid. So
I'm okay now.
you're composed?
I'm composed.
Right.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I think I'm just a bit emotional today.
And you know why? Because we haven't had a coffee.
And all I've had is Cheerios, and I'm starving. And you know what happens if you don't feed me?
Yeah. You know that
get enojada.
You know that real Spanish breakfast of Cheerios. Right, let's wander on up and see what's up here.
Hopefully nobody else will upset me.
They're going over the edge if they are.
I'm just going to go looking for an English breakfast and a roast dinner and be done with it.
We are now in Laredo. We're just sort of very slowly driving along the coast. There was a place I wanted us to stay, another couple who are actually from Ireland as well, who are travelling along chapter by chapter. They had stayed there, well, I'm not sure, a couple of weeks ago. And it was one of the areas that I was sort of thinking of staying because it looked like it was in a lovely bay with sort of access to showers and stuff. But unfortunately, I miscalculated and I drove on past it. So we ended up in Castro Udales,
Castro Udales,
which is where we came to you from before. And by that point, we'd moved on a little bit. So the next park for night or next park up we were looking to stay at, really nice and everything, but just it was rammed. And so we've come along to...
Well, we had a stop at the Orinon Beach.
Very quiet.
Very quiet.
But a massive campsite, so we were able to go in and use their loo. Yeah. And then we've come along to...
Laredo, or however you say
we
it.
really are butchering the names.
Yeah.
A
little bit of a fraught park up though, when I was getting Nigel to reverse and we were going over the curb and I'd totally forgotten that our gas connection was there, and literally a millimetre to spare. So then we decided it was a bit tight, so we'd go and park somewhere else. And as Nigel was trying to manoeuvre his van, some guy in a trilby smoking a cigarette literally stood in the middle of the road, so that Nigel had to try and manoeuvre around him. Obviously he doesn't like motorhomes or camper vans or something.
I think it's bad form if you run over the locals. So
yeah, well, it was a bit bad form that we weren't doing anything wrong, and he obviously doesn't like vans and was just being...
Anyway.
But that upset me. I'm feeling a bit sensitive at the moment with the difficulties, and I think I need to toughen up a bit, because obviously you are going to come across awkward situations, and I got a little bit upset.
I mean, all cards on the table. We were using these 10 weeks, not necessarily, I mean, we've had some good times already and hopefully we'll have many more good times, but we were really using these 10 weeks as they call in the rally world, a shakedown, just to get ourselves used to, because obviously our big plan is to, once Nicola gets her citizenship, is to spend a year in Europe. Obviously I have an Irish passport at the moment. Nicola's just waiting on her Irish citizenship so we can avoid the whole 90-day boo-hickey. And so using these 10 weeks just really as a shakedown, just to see how we're, coping, because I know a lot of van lifers like to portray, beautiful sunsets, and basically they spend most of the time naked sitting on top of their van doing yoga. Where actually a lot of it is you're trying to find park-up spaces, you're trying to sort of, get a mixture between visiting good places to see, but then obviously you have to then think about where you're going to park that night. One of the things that we'll talk about this, again, it's probably going to be a separate vlog, we'll talk about this, but finding public toilets has been a little bit of an issue. We do have toilet facilities in our van, but then you've got to be sort of close to an emptying facility. So we're just kind of getting
It's taken
started.
a while for us to get used to it, and travelling around the UK previously was so easy because you speak the language, you know where things are, and it's been... I've found it a bit harder, I must admit.
But it's interesting you say so easy, and yet we're all finding park-ups in the UK is very difficult. Yeah. Finding park-ups here, and again, it's one of those balances. Where we're parked up tonight is perfectly fine, perfectly adequate. But
it is nice.
And we're right by the sea, but it's not your stereotypical van life park-up where I'll be able to sort of lie across the bed and put on my mankini and point to the sea while having a mocha-choca-choo-choos or whatever the hell they do. So it's more functional, practical than anything.
Yeah.
So it's just...
And I need to stop taking everything so personally, because whenever like a local person or something doesn't like us or whatever, I really take it to heart. And I know it's silly, but this isn't what it's about though, learning to adapt to things. And the culture here, the way people speak to you, we went for a coffee in Castro Udales, whatever it's called, and they're very abrupt and I get like, oh, what have I done? And I haven't done anything, but it's just all these things.
You should be used to that with me. I'm very abrupt.
Doufing,
as my dad would say.
So I think you have to just be a bit, I'm a bit too thin-skinned.
Right, well, it's a beautiful, great place actually here to run.
Fantastic. The promenade must be, what, a mile long at least?
Yeah.
Maybe more.
Now, as you can probably see as well, very overcast. We had a couple of cracking days of beautiful weather. I think over these next 3 or 4 days, we're going to get sort of conditions like this here, but it's still really warm.
And we're going to treat ourselves to a campsite for 2 nights after today, and they have a pool, so we're going to chill out, and they have a barbecue area. So.
And one of the things that we're going to sort of reevaluate when we're at the campsite, I think we're going to do a bit more research. I think one of the concerns about driving right along the coast is, now it might be a bit different as we get further away from Santander, the next big city. It's a lot of touristy places, and it's difficult because we're tourists. We've had this conversation before, but we're wondering whether we should sort of start heading south and actually get up into the mountains and get out into the country a little bit. And I think we will do that a little bit more. I think once we get out maybe to the west a bit more, we start to see some smaller villages, smaller towns. But at the moment, a lot of the places we've been have obviously been where a lot of the Basque community, those from Bilbao and Santander and places, come for their summer holidays. And so it's very kind of touristic. And we've got to be careful that we're not just,
it just feels like we're just kind of moving from town to little town at the moment, and it's very samey and...
Well, basically, it just looks like we're moving from town to town looking for toilets.
Well, it does. But we saw an eagle.
We did.
Up near Orinon. It was really big. It definitely wasn't a buzzard, but we don't know what sort, so we need to do a bit of research and see what type of eagles we get in this area. But it was lovely.
Right, guys, well, that's enough yabbering. Catch up probably tomorrow at the campsite, just to show you around, show you what €12 gets you.
Yeah, €12. Amazing.
And yeah, so we'll catch up tomorrow from the campsite. For now, we're going to walk back along this promenade, and then I reckon it's time for tea.
Surely it must be tea time soon.
It's been at least an hour since we ate, so. All right, catch up tomorrow, guys. Lovely little clip of Nicola walking along the beach. She looks down. I say, oh, is that a nice shell or something? Or maybe a seahorse? No.
Mr. Hanky.
The Spanish poo. Well, good afternoon, folks.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes, indeed. We are up in a little village called El Puente.
El Puente.
Puente.
We need to get it right.
I spotted on Park for Night a little air that showed up, a little paid air that showed up, and it had only just opened. And it's kind of more like a little mini campsite. And we have stayed here 2 nights. Well, tonight will be our second night. And including electric and all the services, showers, toilets and everything, it is about 30 euro. So we just thought we would splodge out and have a couple of days.
Oh, lizard.
Oh, YouTube.
Oh, look though.
Mozzie bites.
Mozzie bites everywhere. Really itchy.
Although we think it's just one mozzie that keeps mooching around the van. Anyway, we are... Hola, buenos dias. The site is amazing.
Really, it's quite small but really clean.
Even got
everything's brand new.
Little swimming pool as well. So we're just going to wander down in the little village now. There's a market on.
I need to go to the hardware store because we went to try out the telly yesterday, and
TV. Who needs TV? Eh?
I want to watch the Olympics. And it turns out everything wasn't in the bag that we needed, so we're missing an F connector. Now I'm not sure the hardware store here is going to have it because it looks quite small, but we thought we'd give it a go. See
we're
if we can get
missing
one.
the effing connector. And what did whenever you googled this hardware store, what did it say it was going to do to you? It was going to groom you well or something?
Yeah, it's a bit confusing with the reviews. So not sure if it's a hairdresser's hardware store or what it is. Oh wow.
El Buzzard, I assume. Yeah. Well, could be something else.
Actually.
Could be something else.
Doesn't look like the wings of a buzzard.
There's vultures in this area, so it could be a vulture. Anyway, we're going to put you away, and we shall see you down in the... I think we were here about 6-7 hours ago. Once again, Nicola has had a heck of a lot of work today, which I guess is okay because we're just at the campsite. So the other thing that obviously we've got a 150 watt flexi solar panel, which no issue whatsoever when we have lots of sun, but northern Spain, as we've said, gets a bit cloudy, and that has me a little bit concerned because of course we're not doing a huge amount of driving, so just going to have to keep an eye on that, keep an eye on the weather. Obviously a week ago whenever we had those 3 or 4 stunning days there was no issue whatsoever, but keep an eye on that. Obviously at the campsite we've got electricity, so giving the batteries a good seeing too. So we're going to wander down again into the little town. I would say pick up the evening vibe, but I'm going to say it's the same as the afternoon and morning vibe. Not a lot going on, but that's fine. We're going to do a little bit of shopping for the next few days because obviously we're leaving the campsite tomorrow. We're hoping to go on a bit of a hike tomorrow up the Devil's... Lizard! I always lose her.
Sorry.
Up the Devil's Eye, is it?
I think that's what it's called.
Devil's Eye.
Yeah.
And then we're going to head on up into the sort of countryside for the next couple of days. But that'll have to be something that you see next week. So we're going to wander down off into town. De-stress this one a little bit from her afternoon of work. And we will catch up again next week. Right. I'm not quite sure what to say at the end of these. You've got me going now with the whole like, you know what I'm going to say at the end of this here? Horse. There you go. Horse.